It's 8:31, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. You're all muted, so I can't tell if you can hear me or not. But if you can hear me, can somebody give me a thumbs up? Or can somebody unmute themselves and tell me that you can hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
You're good.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to hear voices out there. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to our first day of professional learning for the 2021 school year. I'm excited to be here. Maybe not in the fashion in which we would have liked, but we're here. And so welcome to all of you. We're going to spend just a little time this morning talking about self-care and centering your wellness as a staff. That is going to be so important for all of us as we embark on this new school year with remote learning and then possibly transitioning to some other form of schooling. This is definitely not what we might have anticipated even back in March, but you all are a strong, creative, resilient, and amazing bunch. And so I know that we are going to make it through this year, whatever it throws at us. I didn't realize until I walked out of my house yesterday that there are now fires raging in Northern California. And so for those of you whose family and friends may be affected by what's happening, I want to just say that we're sending our love and hopes for the best for your families also. So thank you for giving us this time. I know there's a ton going on and school is going to start in just a few days. I'm going to share my screen. I dropped a link in the chat to the presentation. And so let me see. Oh, Rich, can you allow me to share my screen? Perfect, thank you. Okay. All right, can everybody see my screen? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes and we'll just keep moving along. All right, let me see, there's a chat here. Does it say yes? Yes, it says you can see it. Thank you, Patty Bruns, for telling me that you can see my screen. All right, so we're gonna spend just a few minutes today talking about self-care and talking about centering our wellness for the beginning of the school year and throughout the school year. So a lot of this information from this presentation, I think, is sort of not new. And I think it's really good to sort of ground ourselves in the idea of wellness and self-care before we sort of start getting into the technicalities and the logistics of all of the other things that we have to deal with. This material is adapted from the Distance Learning Playbook. This book came online just a few months ago and it's become quite popular with educators. I downloaded it on Kindle for just $2.99. So it's a pretty useful resource. And they start their playbook with a chapter on self-care, and I think that's super appropriate. So they begin with some learning intentions. They talk about learning to take care of myself as I engage with my students. And they set another intention around learning about the impact of trauma on educators. Certainly we are living in some very uncertain and unprecedented times, and we might not sort of consciously realize that everything that's happening that we're taking in is having an impact on us. But I think we want to be really mindful about the ways in which sort of all of the events that are taking place are having an impact on us and learning to process that in ways that are healthy for us. So they identify in this text some success criteria. And they talk about identifying a place to work. They talk about practicing routines and managing schedules. They talk about having at least one connected conversation per day with somebody outside of the home, having a plan for personal well-being, and then recognizing the signs of trauma and compassion fatigue. So I'm going to give you just a couple minutes just to sort of take a peek at these. And as you're thinking about your own practice this year, and as you're thinking about how you might sort of center intentionally your wellness moving into this year, maybe there's one of these that you identify as a priority for you. Maybe there's one of these that you identify as an area of growth for you that you're going to focus on. So I'm going to give you just a minute just to take a peek at these, and then we'll move on. Okay. So this well-known quotation here, the body keeps score, and this idea that traumatic events can take a toll on the brain, the mind, and the body. My computer, folks, is giving me a message that my internet connection is unstable. Can you just maybe unmute yourself and tell me that you can still hear me?
Still hear you.
Still hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Right.
I hear you.
Tom,
Hear you.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you, Marie. I can
Yeah.
hear you, Cherie.
Right. Thank you.
I can hear.
And so it's probably been a while since many of us have flown on a plane, but we all know that you put on your own oxygen mask first before you help others. My daughter is 9 now, and it probably has only been about a couple of years since the folks on the plane stopped coming to me intentionally and reminding me to put on my own oxygen mask first before helping others. And so as educators, we are constantly helping others. And sometimes we are helping others and depleting our own stores of energy and resource and wellness, and maybe not even aware of that. And so I think sort of part of starting our professional learning with talking about self-care so that you can be intentional about putting on your own oxygen mask as an educator before you launch in to help other people. And there are sort of many different ways to do that, and we'll have an opportunity to maybe explore some of those different ways that you might put on your own oxygen mask before helping others in this session, both today and tomorrow. Taking care of others requires that you take care of yourself. Taking care of others means acknowledging when things are difficult, maintaining human connections, and then investing in your own well-being. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just 1 second. There are a lot of people on this call, and I hope that we can try to arrange ourselves in breakout rooms to have a little conversation. So I'm going to ask Richard, who is hosting for me, to set up some breakout rooms, maybe just sort of 4 people per room, and we're going to see how this works today, having 164 people go into breakout rooms. So I'm going to ask Richard if you would help set up breakout rooms of 4 folks. And then I'm going to start sharing my screen again for just 1 second. And so here is, here's what we want you just to sort of chat about in your breakout room, just for a couple minutes. We're not going to take a lot of time. How do you know when things are difficult, and how do you respond? For me, how I know things are becoming difficult, particularly in my work life, is I get a lot of stress in my shoulders. I feel sort of a lot of pinching in my shoulders. So that's when I know that sort of, oops, things are sort of reaching a point of maybe I need to take some few deep breaths. So sort of just recognizing your own sort of physical and emotional sort of signs of things are becoming difficult, or your stress levels are beginning to rise. And then what are ways that you respond? And then how have you been maintaining human connections during this period of shelter in place? We have now been in some form of sheltering in place since March. And so how are you maintaining human connections with friends and maybe with extended family? And then the third question just asks you to think about one action that you have taken, or one action maybe that you have contemplated seriously taking to invest in your own well-being. So maybe no more than about 5 or 6 minutes in the group, and just an opportunity for you to chat with each other in a small group setting. You know, it's difficult via an instrument like Zoom to sort of feel this connection, but we want to create that for you as much as possible. So Rich, when you tell me that those breakout rooms are ready to go, then we will have you just go into your breakout rooms and just consider these questions. So if you want to if you have your phone and you want to take a screenshot of these questions before you go into the breakout room, that might help you remember them. But maybe it's just an opportunity for you to have 5 minutes to connect with your colleagues. Richard, we're ready to go? Okay, here we go. Thank you. Okay, I think we are getting back. Well, I certainly enjoyed that opportunity just to see a few people's faces at a time and have some connection. And thank you, Anne, for dropping the note in the chat that said more of that. I totally agree. I wanted just for you to have an opportunity just to drop a couple notes in the chat, just a word or two. So one of the questions asks about actions that you're taking to invest in your own well-being. And I wonder if you might just drop a word or two in the chat and tell us about actions that you're taking to invest in your own well-being. I heard about meditation and exercising and dancing. Please drop a note in the chat so maybe we can get some ideas from others. Going for walks, I see. Kissing my kids, that's also always a good one. Oh, these are great, folks. Playing with kids, shopping, I like it. Making art. Oh, this is awesome. Limiting screen time, so important. Social distancing dinners. Oh, across the yard, that sounds great. Somebody got a puppy. Oh, this is awesome. So we can save these chats, folks. So if we can make an A to Z of ways to center your wellness if you're in need of ideas. Exercise and time outside, bossing around. Somebody said bourbon. That's a good one too. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for sharing that. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to share my screen again. And here we are back here. So a work-life balance is even more important when you are working from home. I don't know about all of you. I can imagine. My own experience was that it felt like when we first started remote learning, there was no start or stop to the workday. It just went on and on and on and on because you're home and you have your computer and you have your cell phone. And so this idea of maintaining a work-life balance, I think, is going to be so crucial for all of us as we start this new school year. Last year, we were sort of in an emergency mode, and so we were being reactive and responding as best as we could to the situations as they arose. But this is for right now, new normal. And so we have an opportunity to sort of recalibrate ourselves and to set some boundaries for ourselves so that we can maintain a work-life balance from wherever we are working, right? Whether we are working at home, whether we are working in our own classrooms, wherever you find yourself, this work-life balance is going to be super crucial. So these are not rocket science, right? Create a morning routine. So whatever that is, if it's, you start with coffee, if it's you start with reading your morning news, if it's you start with, a prayer, however you start the morning, if you can create a routine for yourself, right? That sort of helps you launch into the morning and feel like your best self, or get to feel like your best self by the time you get that coffee or whatever, that tea, whatever that is. So creating a morning routine is really important. So I want to stop right here. And I want to give you an opportunity just again to drop a note, maybe we'll just take a couple minutes. Anybody have any great ideas for creating a morning routine, or anybody want to share what your morning routine might entail? Mine is always I read a little news because I can't take news throughout the day. So the morning is when I read it and then move along. So breakfast on the porch, affirmations, thank you. Wake up early and run first thing, awesome. Tea, coffee, great. 5-minute meditation followed by tea. Puzzles, awesome. Great. Podcast and coffee, that's great. Include gratitude in the things I write about. Yeah, I worked with a colleague who had a joy jar, and she would drop notes in the joy jar, which I think is kind of cool too. That's awesome. So whatever that routine is, you create. Thanks, Jen. Whatever that routine is that you create for yourself, right? Just make an intention that you're going to commit to giving yourself that time, right? Giving yourself that time in the morning, because you give so much to others throughout the day. So I encourage that for you. And then maintaining regular hours. So, whatever your hours were when you were in the building, working at school, I really encourage you to think about maintaining some regular hours for yourself, right? A start time and a stop time. And then really sort of sticking to that. Email in some ways makes it really difficult, I think, for us to turn off. But and especially I think as kids are going to be working away from us and might have questions, and we want to respond and we want to support them. But I really want you to think about how you might maintain some regular hours for yourself, and whatever feels comfortable for you, whatever feels doable for you, whatever feels sort of healthy for you that you can maintain. I really do encourage you to maintain some regular hours in your day. And then the other thing I want to encourage too is that you give yourself time on the weekend, right? That you don't work 7 days a week. I think that's really important too, just to give yourself some.
We lost connection.
Yeah, so we'll just wait for her to reconnect. Hopefully she can.
That was a great picture, Richard.
You need to continue the workshop for us, Richard. Tell us all about your morning routines.
Stay in bed as long as I possibly can.
I think I'm back.
You are back.
Whoa for technology. The host got kicked off her own meeting. Hold on one second. Let's go back here. All right, here we go. Maintaining regular hours, that's where we were. All right, let's keep going. And then scheduling breaks for yourself during the day. However you're organizing your schedule, make sure to schedule some breaks and to be away from your computer. It's really, I found that the more time I'm spending on this Zoom, the more time I'm needing to reach for the reading glasses on top of my regular glasses. And I find that it sort of makes me headachy. So I think for your wellness, but also for your physical health too, right? It's important that you schedule breaks and you schedule time away from being on the screen all the time. We talk a lot about this for the wellness of students. And I think this is also really important for us as educators to really build that time in to take our eyes off the screen. And then this one I like, ending your workday with a routine. So whether that is another walk with the dog, or whether that is a nice relaxing cup of tea, or whether that is journaling about the great things that happened, or whether that is making a really sumptuous meal and enjoying that for yourself or with your family, right? Finding a routine with which you can end your day sort of feeling positive and hopeful about what you have accomplished and about what you are going to lean into the next day. So I have one more slide I want to share with you. So, oopsie, I'm going to go back. So work-life balance. So I want to give us, the time is 9 o'clock, and I want to give you a chance to get back into groups again. And so here are just a couple questions, and I'm going to give you maybe about 7 or 8 minutes just so that you can reconnect with folks this morning. So here are the questions around which you can center your conversation. How do you maintain, if you think back to when we were at school and think about sort of how you maintained a work-life balance, and then think now about how you can use some of those principles to help you maintain a work-life balance at home. Again, if you want to take a picture, or if you want to just spend the next few minutes reconnecting with the colleagues that are in your breakout room. Rich, I'm going to ask you if you would set up again breakout rooms for groups of no larger than 4, and we're going to give you some more time with your colleagues just to think about how you might maintain a work-life balance working from home. Yeah, same group seems nice, so you can keep talking to the folks that you were connecting with. Thank you so much.
So the only thing with the same groups is that we have more participants now, and so I could put everybody back in the same groups, but then we'll have to add more people to the existing groups. Is that okay?
Yes, however you want to do that, I think is great.
All right.
Yeah. And then we'll give you about 8 minutes, and we'll come back at 9:10. I hope that you had a good chance to chat with your colleagues again. It looks like, I'm just in the chat a little bit. Looks like somebody shared For Your Health or some resources in the chat, so take a peek at that. We are going to end with this quotation today, and we're going to come back tomorrow and just spend about 30 more minutes just continuing to center our wellness as a staff. And so I read the most amazing book over the summer. I read it cover to cover in a day. It's by Bettina Love, and I'm just going to reach into my bag and grab it so I can show it to you. It's called We Want to Do More Than Survive, Abolitionist Teaching and the Pursuit of Educational Freedom. These are all my notes I took. It's a wonderful book. And when I read this quotation, wellness is a part of social justice work, I wrote in the book, use this quotation. And so here it is. Wellness is a part of social justice work. So we do need to center our wellness because it will help us get through these really difficult days, but centering our own wellness and being intentional about our wellness also really supports our goals in our schools around equity and around dismantling systems that are not supportive of our students. So I want you to think of yourselves as centering your wellness, not just for yourselves, but also for your families and for your students as we get ready to launch into a new school year. That is our time for today. I want to thank, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, although I think this is a wonderful quote. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I just want to say to the many of you, over 170 of you that are here, that it has been a pleasure to start the 2020-2021 school year with you in this way. And I want to continue to encourage you to focus on your self-care. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about concrete strategies and ask you to make a plan for yourself and think about how you're going to maintain your commitments to yourself and to your wellness. Thank you all. I know that you are going to enjoy all of the professional learning that takes place over the next couple of days. I want to give a massive shout out to Jen Gritman and Richard Liu, who are amazing ed techs, and I feel so fortunate and grateful to have the opportunity to work with them. So please go and enjoy the rest of your day. Actually, I think I'll see you again in just a little bit. We'll be talking about community building, but please, please take the next few minutes to recenter yourselves, and we'll see you back at 9:30. Thank you so much.
Can I just jump in real quick, Marie, and just remind everybody that the Zoom at 9:30 is going to be divided into elementary and secondary. So just check the schedule, and they are going to be differentiated for levels. So just pick the right one.
And Jen, real quick, will these recordings be going to the EdTech website or to a separate place?
They'll be going to the EdTech website and also to our YouTube channel. So they'll be in both places.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So if I'm kindergarten, do I need to